Hello and welcome to HackNC's first workshop in the week of workshops. I'm Nick. I'm one of the lead directors for HackNC for Hacker Relations, and today we're going to be going over how to make a basic website. Which should be pretty exciting actually, because you'll be able to code some and then have your results like show on the screen. And so we'll be going over two things today: HTML and CSS. So HTML is the sort of like structure of the page, like all the basic elements. So like you might have, these are things called tags. You might have P for paragraph, like hello, I'm a paragraph. And then each tag has a closing tag, which has a slash at the end, slash in it. And that signifies this is the end of the paragraph. So when creating the structure of the page, you might say HTML. It's like start the HTML document, and you can put tags inside of each other, right? So it'll have the head, which is like the head of a letter, like who you're addressing it to. So in this case, we'll put a title, which is the title of the web page. And then, so notice how the test the test title has a closing tag at the end with a slash. And then also that's all we need to put in the head. So we'll do a closing head tag. And we'll start the body, which is like where all the content will go on the page. And so here we could put our P, hello, and we end the body, and then finally we end the HTML document. So that's like an example of a basic HTML page. And then CSS is like, that's like layout, color, shadow, font size, basically any part of how it looks. And so to go over CSS and HTML more in depth, first we have to download a code editor. And so my favorite code editor is Visual Studio Code, which is different from Visual Studio. So just search Visual Studio Code in Google or your favorite search engine. So Google Visual Studio Code. This is like a lot of developers' top choice for their editor. So it should be code.visualstudio.com. Flashy tagline, code editing, refined. Okay. So here are the downloads for me, because it knows that I'm on Linux, which is a different operating system than Mac or Windows. But you should download the stable version for one of these and then install it. So once you've installed it, open it up, and we will create we'll go File, Open Folder, and we'll create a new folder. So I'll call it HackNC 2020 Web Page Workshop. And I'll click OK. So I'll open this folder, and the only thing on the left should just be an empty folder. So hover over the folder and click on this new file button and call it index.html. So when you go to this page, index is like the default name for a HTML file. So let's just type out what we wrote on here. So HTML head title, testing our page, and we'll make a body, and we'll also put our P tag. So if you go to the web browser, in the tab, you should see testing our page, and on the page you should actually see testing a P tag. So let's test it out. So what you can do is go, I think here, like sort of like your menu, and then open file, and then you can like navigate through everything and select it. Wow, so it works. That's crazy. So let's go over CSS a little bit. It's like, what if we want to change the color of our p tag? We can create a CSS file, so like styles.css, and we can link it from the HTML page. So we'll say link. So I'll just do this autocomplete, but it's link rel equals style sheet, href equals style.css. And you should notice that there's no like end tag for this. And that's only because it contains a single piece of information with no content. So the content is that there's this attribute right here, href equals, and then the value is style.css. So it will open up style.css on the web page. So let's go into here. Let's define a style. So say for all p tags, do this style. So color blue. So the way the syntax works is there's like an identifier, and then there's a two curly braces, and inside the curly braces are the properties you want to change about the styling of the object. It's like, now if we save both files, make sure to save. Interesting, it doesn't work. So when something doesn't work, you go right click, inspect element, and you can see like all the different tags and where they are and like what's applied. So for us, let's go to the network tab, reload. And the thing is here is that you see that it didn't load any styles.css files because it said like nothing loaded besides the actual page we're on. So what we can do now is we can say Control U and make sure it actually opens this, and we can click on style.css to see if it loads it. Okay, so here it says file not found. So let's see. Oh, see the arrow is, I said style.css here, but it's styles.css is the file we needed. So just go back, change that, and I think it should be good to go. Wow, so finally after all that editing, it changes it to a different color. So like let's say you want to put in an image or something. So you can give it a source. So let's just go to Google Images. Okay, it looks like my internet's kind of pooping out on me. So maybe no images. We can do a list. So let's say you have some homework and you want it to be a big font. So you say header 1, H1. So H1 and then like homework. Terrible, I know. So that will show up with something with a bigger font. Let's create a list of it. And I don't really like this name, so we'll change it to homework to do. So we can create a list on it. So UL for unordered list, and then LI for list item. So we'll say turn in paper, do mastering physics, online problems. This is not related at all to the homework I have to do today. Do take exam. And let's say for the paper, you also have some things that you need to do for it. So you can nest lists. So you can say you put a UL tag in there, and people generally like to format their things like this. You can format it however you want. It doesn't really matter. But generally they'll want to do something like this. LI, so let's say take test, or not take test, turn in paper. So to do that, you actually have to write the paper. Then you have to edit. And then you have to get your friend to review it or something. So if we look at the page now, we have our little to-do list. You turn in the paper, you write it, you edit it, you get your friend to review it. You do the mastering physics online problems. You take the exam. So like let's say you want to color, depending on what class this is, you wanted to color the text differently. So to do that, the only way we know how to is to say LI. So let's say li color red. The problem with this is it'll change all of them to red. So we need a better way to specify it because we only want to do some to-dos for some classes, right? So what you can do is add an attribute to li, and you can give it like a class. Class equals green. And then we'll give another class here. Say class equals orange, and then the bottom one will be red because it's very severe. So now these are just names that I give it. You can give it whatever name you call it. You can call it A, B, C. You can call it, I don't know, whatever keyword you want. And just make sure to put it in double quotes. And then in styles.css, you can say dot and then the thing you did earlier. So just say dot green, dot orange, dot red, and it'll say color red, color orange, and then green is green. So that means that everything with the dot green class will have this color. Everything with the dot orange class will have this color. Every element with the class dot red will have this color. So wow, we got our thing going on. But let's say that it's kind of ugly looking at the text that is this color, right? So let's say we want to change the background. So now we can try saying a different property, background color. Okay, I mean that's fine, right? Another issue too is that it takes up the whole width of the page. So let's take this UL, let's give it a class so we can specify it later. And you can't use spaces in your class name because it assumes it's two classes. Like if I say homework to do, that means that UL has two classes separately. It's like homework is one class and to do is another class. So to fix that, we'll put a dash. And we'll say dot homework to do, say width 50% maybe. We'll see if this works. Okay, I mean, let's say we don't want it to be that big. Let's say we want it to be smaller. We could say width 100 pixels, px. It's a little too small. Say 500. Okay, that's fine, right? And okay, so we have those parts. Now let's add like a little link. Let's add a link to YouTube or something. Because we need YouTube to do our homework, right? So you say A, and then the A tag is a link tag, like a link to a different page. And then href equals is just like, well, what is the place you're going to? So we'll be going to https://youtube.com. And then you close it, and then inside of the A, you title the link. So we refresh the page. There'll be a link to YouTube. And because my internet is crappy, it doesn't load right now, but that's fine. So like, let's say you want to make YouTube into a button. So we'll give it a class. We'll call it a button, and we'll start adding some styles to it. So let's say dot button. We can give it some padding. Say background color blue. We'll say color blue, or color white. So the background will be blue and the color will be white. Okay, so we're already like getting somewhere. Let's change the border radius to 2 pixels. That gives a small rounding. Let's do like 5 or something. White on that sort of blue is kind of terrible. So let's just say light. Let's just say light slate gray. Try that one out. That's maybe a little bit better. Let's give it some more padding. Let's remove the underline. So text, decoration, none. By default, it's with underline. Okay, let's add some more padding. Big button. All right, enter doesn't work. Okay, and then now I really hate the default font on here. So let's just change the font. So we'll say body. So this will change the font for the whole body. We'll say font family Arial, Helvetica. I think that might be a little better. Yeah, it's a little bit better. And let's have the YouTube change when you hover over it. So we'll say dot button hover. That gives like a hover modifier kind of. We'll say background color light blue. Let's do light sea green. Why not? And we'll see how that looks. And make sure every time that you save your file and you refresh with Control R. Oh wow! So it looks a little bit more like a button, kind of crappy. You know, it definitely works though. Yeah. So that is some HTML and CSS basics, and please just let me know if you have any issues, or just type in the chat or the comments and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you guys for attending, and I hope that you've learned something. And if you want to work on anything else, please let me know and I'll be happy to point you in the right direction.